good evening to anybody joining me tonight. Sorry, this is kind of a last minute, last notice thing, so I didn't get a big announcement out there. But, I'm still here tonight. A slightly different room here. This looks out a little better than the other place, so we'll do like that. The light. Whatever. What I look like doesn't matter. It's mostly going to be on the screen tonight, anyhow. So if you remember a couple of vidcasts ago, I was going to live program and do permissions thing from Google, and it didn't work out so well. I hit this bug, I hit that bug, all sorts of problems that weren't really what I was trying to show, and it kind of was a disaster. Well, anyhow, I've gone and solved all those problems, and it now works. And instead of live coding and showing you my code falling all over the place in real time, I've already done all that part, and we'll just show it to you working. So, and I've also broadened it a little bit. I'm not just going to talk about Google permissions, but also Alexa account linking. Not in detail, but just the idea of, maybe we'll do that another time, but the idea of using Google permissions and Alexa account linking to create a skill that maintains the same user base on both Google Home and Alexa. So, let me demonstrate. First, we have Alexa, and I'm going to have to actually go and, so, open Companions of the Road.
Welcome to Companions of the Road, Joe Jacquinton. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is hills.
South.
You travel south. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is hills.
South.
You travel south. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is mountains.
North.
You travel north. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is hills.
Stop.
You travel east. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is hills.
Stop.
You travel east. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is hills.
Quit. Alexa's famous voice recognition. Yeah, so skill, move around, not much to see. I already did the account link. I thought I was supposed to reset things to connect it back up again, but it looks like it's already linked. We saw there, it knew who I was. It got my name from the account linking. And was like, okay, you're here, you're now here, you're moving around, etc., etc. Going through the same experience on the Google Home. Okay, Google, talk to Companions of the Road.
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that yet.
Sorry. Google, unlike Alexa, skills on Google need to be constantly woken up because they time out after a bit. So let me go and preview again. That should now enable it for testing. Okay, Google, talk to Companions of the Road.
Sure, here's Companions of the Road.
Welcome to Companions of the Road, Joe Jacquinton. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is hills.
South.
You travel south. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is mountains.
West.
You travel west. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is hills.
Quit.
Sure, cancel.
Now, it should have been mountains, because if they're the same user, that's kind of where the location was supposed to be. So maybe there's a bug, or maybe they didn't link. We'll look into that there. But should have had the same user experience on both. If there was a more interesting skill, we could have seen more clearly that, oh, this is the exact same setup. If it was blackjack and I was in the middle of the game on one device, I switched to the other device, it would still be in the middle of the game. Kind of silly for a game, but if you've got something with complex setup on things like that, it's very handy if you can maintain the user state across devices. So let's start looking at some code and see how some of that is put together and some of the techniques to use for these things. So, the lovely recursion, and okay, there's the Google. We're kicking that off there. Code. Okay, so There are many layers under here. Let's actually just look at the transactions going up and down. So let me try to reset things, and we'll walk through that. So if I go here, we've got two identities. Oh, we got users. Okay, so let's get rid of the user. And so you see this is DynamoDB. It's got like a million stuff in it, but we have two data objects that we're going to have to be tracking with. The user, which contains all of the account-based information for the user, and then we have the ident, which I'm borrowing from Star Lanes. Why is there no ident here? I'll refresh. Okay, that's the case. So let's walk through. So I've actually cleared everything, and there should no longer be on the Google side any permissions tracked. So if I do, OK Google, talk to Companions of the Road.
Sure, here's Companions of the Road.
Welcome to Companions of the Road, Joe Jacquinta. You are in Dogwood Timberland. Around you is hills.
Quit.
Sure, cancelled.
Alright, so we're not off to a good track this time either, because it's not resetting to the point where it doesn't know who I am, which is kind of crucial to demonstrating this stuff. I think the key is that there's something going on here with StarCore, because this is where things get persisted. All the way out, back in the DynamoDB. Okay, it sees two items, but it's not showing them. So is not equal to x. Still not finding. Alright. This is annoying. It says there's two items there, but it's not showing them to me, so I don't know how to flush that. I could go to extreme and delete and recreate the table. That seems to be a bit much. Let's try Alexa. For Alexa, it's a little easier. I should just have to reset the account. I can just disable and re-enable the skills. Skills, my skills, and we look for Companions of the Road. Say disable skill, enable the skill. Alright, so I'm not going to do this just yet. Well, I've enabled it, but I haven't linked it. So now the user experience should be talk to Companions of the Road.
I'm not sure what you meant by that question.
It's because I'm talking to Google. Open Companions of the Road.
Java.lang. Null pointer exception.
Well, that's just... yeah, this one's not going so well, is it? Alright, so... yeah, we might just call this a strike, because this really isn't working out. So. Open Companions of the Road.
Java.lang. Null pointer exception.
Alright. Let me just link the account. I was hoping to show the different transactions and the way it goes back and forth between them. Open Companions of the Road.
Welcome to Companions of the Road, Joe Jacquinta. You are in Dogwood, Timberland. Around you is hills.
Alright, well, it worked that time. Stop.
Try saying _30.
Quit. Alright, so, let's salvage what we can from this. So, in that particular thing here, this is my logging thing. You can see what's going up and going down. And that last interaction there, we have the request from Alexa to my service. And we can see embedded in all of the crap here is going to be what we get from the link. Somewhere in here. Access token. Okay, right here. What happens when you have linked an account is you get an access token. It's a long, complicated, non-human readable field. Normally, you just get a user ID, which is a unique identifier, which is great, and that can uniquely identify the person, but it doesn't tell you anything about them. And that's a problem if you want to try to work out if the same person is on Alexa that is on Google Home. So we can't just use that, but we can get the access token. And through that, we can query Amazon and ask for the information that they let us have about them. Because when you set up account linking in Amazon, you can say what you want from them. So somewhere in my code, I'm looking for the access token. It's going to be deep down in my common stuff. And in the Alexa specific layer, this is where we pull out the access token and put it into our common request. And where do we use that? Because again, as for my previous talks, I have a minimal thing which translates from the platform to this common layer here. Alright, so the application. Alright. So here is where we pull that back out again and say, oh, hey, look, we've got an access token. And we haven't already linked. So I have a special circumstance if I'm doing a testing. It just gets dummy data, but otherwise it gets the profile from the web. And this will go and to api.amazon.com user profile. And this is documentation that they give you. You can see the sample text at the top of the screen that they gave back, and a slight changing on that. But the idea is with that access token, we can send it to Amazon, and we get back a data packet that has the information that we wanted in it. It may have a user ID, which is much like the user ID that we get with the Alexa request that we saw earlier. However, that user ID we get with Alexa is unique to that user plus that skill. If the same user uses a different skill, it is a different user ID. This is for privacy. However, this ID we get from account linking is unique to the user and will be the same for all users. So if you want to link establish user maintenance across multiple Alexa skills, that's good enough. Same user ID, it's going to see the same as ours, that's fine. And that's great. And we can also get the name, we'll get the email. Now, we get the email here because the Amazon user ID isn't going to help us on Google Home. The email, however, will. We're going to say, okay, the same user has the same email on both systems. That's what we're going to do for linking the stuff together. So, that's how we get, from the access token, we get the user ID. Now, from there, however, we can't just, what becomes important at that point is how we reference our object. Now, as it turns out, every time we talk to Amazon, when we come back, we get the access token. For every session, we will get an access token. we can keep referring to that. And so the temptation is just, okay, well, let's just, now we have it, we can go straight away, and we will make the unique key for our user record, say, the email. And so we can keep looking that user up from the email. However, this is where we have to hop to Google, because they don't do it that way. And this is where I really wish it worked so I could show it properly. Oh. But I'm not sure how to get it back into a working state unless Dynamo's decided to time out or something and start showing me these records. Ah, there we go. This is, what are we at? This is the idents. Yeah, this is the map from, if I want to get to why we have 2 records instead of 1 record, so this is helpful. Okay, Google, talk to companions of the road.
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that.
Did it hear me right? Okay, Google, talk to companions of the road.
Sure, here's Companions of the Road.
Welcome to Companions of the Road, Joe Jacquinta. You are in Dogwood Timberland. Around you is hills.
Stop.
Sure, cancelled.
Okay, well, let's go look at the transaction there. I can demonstrate what I want. So, in that particular case, you can see here it shows an API.ai request and the response we get. So that comes in there, and much like Alexa, it does give you a user ID. And this is, again, a unique user ID established by Google. That's unique to, at least unique to the user. I'm not sure if they keep the same ID across applications, across agents. I haven't checked that out yet. They probably do, because that just seems to be, for privacy. Google's all about privacy when it comes to other people. Obviously, they stalk you like nobody's business, so not with regards to themselves, but for us, they maintain privacy. So we can't stalk people. It's their sole domain. Now, if you notice that there is not, however, a corresponding access token. Now, there is account linking on Google. They had problems with that early on, and I haven't explored that. It probably works much the same way. But if you notice there, when I activated my Alexa skill, it said you have to go to account linking. I had to go open up a browser window, go into the thing, click it, set up my password, blah blah blah, like that. And that was kind of annoying. Google actually have, and it's the same for the account linking on Google, but Google also has this permissions thing, so that you can say, I want certain permissions from the user. And unfortunately, since this got reset, it's not actually doing that. But what you can do is, if you see down at the bottom, when we do our response, we can tag our response and say, hey, I want permissions for stuff. And it doesn't matter what you put in here to say, because what it does instead is it says, hey, this people wants you to know your permissions. Is it okay for you to give them your name and your email? And the user can just say, yes, that's fine. Take my privacy. It's all right. And then you get a reply with that information in it. And then you can go back to where you were, etc. It's a much nicer user experience. So it's something that I definitely, if you're doing cross-platform skills, you should try to have the best user experience on each platform, even if it's different. Okay, we learned this back with mobile and back with desktop. In the bad old days on desktop, they come out with these cross-platform libraries, and you have something that looks awkward and out of place on every single platform. But exactly the same. That users are much more interested in having something look like it belongs on the platform. So in that case, account linking is the only game in town on Alexa. That's what you got to use. On Google, we can use account linking or permissions. Permissions are nicer. The thing, however, is unlike account linking, once you've linked the account, you get back the access token every time. At any point you want, you can look it up and get the identity from the person. On permissions, you only get it in the response to them when they say yes, and then you get those permissions. As you see in this particular transaction here, they're not there. Consequently, if you want to track for the best, because you don't want to ask the user every single exchange for the stuff, you need to persist those. And this is where we get into the sort of two IDs, two data structures versus one data structure. So the way the flow works on Google Home is you get basically the launch. If this is a new user, you can tell because you've got their unique ID that they provide, and that's all you've got. So if you're going to persist something for them, you have to persist it with this as a key, and that's our first data record, which I'm calling an ident here. Say, okay, well, with the user ID key, I'm going to link that to the information I got from either account linking or from permissions. And if somebody launches in and I get that user ID, but I don't see an ident record, then I know I need to ask them permission. So I give the response that says, hey, can I have your email? Can I have your name? And the next response, if the user says yes, the next response you get back will have that user ID and have those information. So now you can say, oh, right, I've got the user ID, I've got the permissions now. Let me create a record indexed by the user ID with that information on it. Now, you can use that information to create the user record, where you keep all the account information, like how much money they have or how many cards they have in blackjack or what their, settings are for, Salesforce.com or whatever it is your skill is going to do. Those go into the user record. But you can now put that in the user record and index it by, say, the email address. Okay, so you have one record, which is and I can pull up my versions of these. Ident. So this is the one that essentially indexes here. The key is the unique platform user ID, which is unique to Amazon or is unique to Google Home. And then within there is the information that you get back from either account linking or from the permissions. Account linking, and generally I get back the user ID, the display name, and the email. Google permissions will give me back a user ID, a given name, a family name, course location, a precise location, and an email. I think, actually, Alexa will give you back the zip code, which I think is the same as course location. So the idea is that we now track from the platform-specific user ID, we now have this platform information about them. Okay. Then we have our user record. User being boom, and blah 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 blah. And in here, the unique key indexing this is the email address, something that's common to both platforms. The email is pretty much what you've got going there, because the zip code would be silly, and the name is too ambiguous. But the email address should be the same user. So you can then index that, and then in that record is all the stuff to do with the actual skill, etc., like that. With that sort of structure, you can now support account linking on one side and the nicer permissions thing on the other side, and have them both end up pointing. So you end up with two records, two ident records, one for Alexa, one for Google Home, but both contain the information to come back to the same user record. So on subsequent calls, the logic then is to say, oh, okay, and I should be able to show this logic. Somewhere down in here, initialize context, where it's like, okay, I get the ident ID, which is the platform ID, and from that I get the ident value, which is the record, the first record we saw. And if it's not there, we make one. Otherwise, okay, that's great. If it has these other parameters, which are that we got back, i.e., this is just an acknowledgement, we add those to the ident record. Otherwise, it's like, okay, now that we've got that, let's get the email and let's get the user record based on the email address, and now we have it. So it's a two lookup process, and we now have that. Now you can cache all this stuff and make it all sort of easier, etc., like that. And all my little data lookup routines actually do their own internal caching, so this is you're not necessarily suffering the burden of a two-table lookup here. If you were using relational databases instead of Dynamo ID, you could do it probably with one, which would be kind of cool, but Dynamo doesn't do that. That's what I'm using here. You got two separate lookups like that. And now we can go off and we have the ID. And it will be the same user record for both Google Home and for Alexa. And you can do your stuff and give them a great user experience. So, to recap the guts of things. Yeah, okay, back to my ugly face. So to recap, we have on Alexa the only way to create a non-skill specific identity for somebody is through account linking, and from that we can get a unique user ID, we can get a name, we can get an email address, we can get a zip code. We have that on Google Home, but we also have a nicer interface, which is the permissions thing, which can get us a unique user ID. But Google, a name, first name, last name, display name, course location, which I believe is zip code, precise location, which I believe is the actual address of the person, and email. There was one more thing. Anyways, that sort of stuff there like that. Put these together, and that's a nice experience, so we kind of want to use that on Google Home. So put these together with both of these, we can use as a primary index. That will then create a secondary index for our second record, which is the user record, which will be indexed by, say, the email address, which seems to be the most reasonable one. So that we can have, no matter what their entry point is, we're going back to the same data record in the back end, and can, tell them information on this, tell them information on that. We've got nutcases that have, both platforms in the house. They can use either, and how important that is for you, I don't know. I mean, if you want to be cross-platform, there's not many cross-platform skills out there, but I think people should. When you put a little investment in your platform, you can do that, and again, a little more like this, you have that there too, and that kind of makes sense. That's that. No questions, just some sympathy from Travis. Thank you, Travis. Any other questions, put them as comments to this video if you're watching it later. Because most people watch it not live. Well, I've got 3 live people. That's nice. Thank you. Hello, people. Thank you for joining me live. If you have other suggestions for videos, I don't know. I can do one going more into depth about account linking, because that always creates hassle, and it always creates hassle for me too, and I just follow the Amazon tutorial, because otherwise I run into trouble. I don't know if that's worth covering or not. Any other day, just let me know. I am based in Boston, which just had this big snowstorm today, so I was working at home, and the kids were at home, and all sort of stuff. But I did actually do some other fun stuff and make a time-lapse video of the snow outside. So I will leave you with my little video of the snow falling outside. And if you're not in the Northeast, you can sit back and watch.